Carson Beck is the starting quarterback of the University of Georgia, but
Yeah, he is.
Clint, we already knew that.
We did.
That's not news. Or is it? Today on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back, everybody. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn, LinkedIn Jobs, linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. More on them in a moment. Daniel, we are talking about three things today. Carson Beck named starting quarterback, which
every
also,
person already
wet.
knew. Water moist these days.
Stop, don't. That's a forbidden word. But yes, we know that Carson Beck is named starter. Does this matter? Yeah, it's not news. Okay, great. First segment, whatever. Second segment,
But it does mean something.
it means something. We might have to get our translator rings out a little bit. Might have to understand some Kirbynese a little bit more, and maybe harken back to last year and what happened to one illustrious record-setting quarterback, and give a little foreshadow for that. And then lastly, does this indicate anything ongoing in the future for Kirby and UGA? But let's start with this. It's non-news. We knew this. Carson Beck is the most talented quarterback on the roster.
That's right.
He's the most experienced quarterback on the roster.
That's a second thing.
Okay, so 1 and 2. And 3, he's been the one who has actually performed in all scrimmages we hear from Kirby and in games. So he's the only logical choice, Daniel.
And he is the choice.
And he is.
So that, again, not a piece of news. We are going to get to some things that I do think that means, as Clint alluded to in segments 2 and 3. But I did think the most interesting part of the conversation around Carson Beck was when Kirby Smart wasn't asked, but just forthrightly came out with the information, just said, here, take this. Carson Beck has been named the starting quarterback.
Yep.
There is no information about who the number 2 quarterback is. That race, Clint, has not been finished. No one has crossed the line on that one. Those two cats, Gunnar Stockton, Brock Vandelay of Vandelay Industries, are still battling that out.
We know his name is Vandegrift, by the way. We understand.
See, it's not the podcast for you, if that's the comment that you're leaving. It's not. You're going to hate it. I'm just trying to help you. You're going to hate it.
A little filtering system.
You're going to hate it. I'm just trying to save you the time. Those two still battling it out for the second job. You've made it clear who you think is going to win that job, Clint.
Yeah, it's clear to me. It's clear to anybody that has eyeballs or a brain or a Georgia fan. If you want anybody to have the second position or the first position, if you think, quick disclaimer, we've said this every single time, we're going to say it again because it's bear repeating, because Daniel's going to comment why this is in need for the next 4 years. Okay, the next 4 years, you're going to really have to come to terms with, you don't want any individual player to be named starting quarterback at UGA. You don't want that.
Who do you want to be named starting quarterback?
The player who Kirby Smart thinks is going to win us the most games.
There it is.
I don't care what his name is. I don't care what his style is.
Star ranking is.
Don't care about his star.
Care if he's a scrambling quarterback or a pocket passer or whatever.
None of that matters to you or me or anybody else, or wins for that matter. What matters is actually producing on the field, and Kirby's going to give us the person for that. So Dan's going to talk about that, but I think Gunnar Stockton is going to be named the second backup quarterback to Carson Beck when all is said and done. I think he, so far in scrimmage notes, I think that he has a good rapport with a lot of people. I think we're seeing that happen. A lot more people that we talk to are telling us that he probably has a little bit of a connection with maybe Oscar Delp, maybe
is
Andrew.
He important?
He's
Is he an
Important
important
Daniel.
piece to the system?
He is.
Yeah, he sure is.
He sure is.
By the way, just speaking of whichever quarterback Kirby thinks is going to win us the most games, I don't think Stetson Bennett's game is going to translate to the NFL, Clint. I don't think he's got it. I mean, it's just not. It's cute.
It was
for
smoke and
college.
mirrors, really.
It's cute for college, but once you get that NFL speed out there, that
he ain't
NFL
gonna
defensive
nobody
speed,
to the left
he can't
on some
get to
RPO.
the corner. He can't get to the corner.
He can't score a touchdown on the corner outrunning linebackers in the end. Oh no.
Oh.
Well, he literally did that.
Well, okay. It's important the guy that wins his number 2 job. Number 1, because he's going to get some snaps, because I'm not sure if you've ever heard this before, but Georgia don't play nobody, Paul. And so Georgia's going to win a lot of games by a lot of points this year, which means that the number 2 quarterback's going to get a lot of run. Like,
a healthy
I'm talking
amount
about
of looks.
A good deal of run. So that's important. It's also important because this January, early enrollment period happens.
So, okay.
And
So
that
enrollment sounds
means
like people coming into the program.
People are going to come in. 2 of those people are named Dylan Raiola and Ryan Puglisi, and they are elite quarterbacks.
Yeah, 2 of the top quarterbacks in high school football in the nation now.
They're both coming.
Okay.
So here's what the deal is. Carson Beck, I predict, is going to have a great year and is going to go off to the NFL, be a first-round draft pick in the NFL.
He will be in the top 15 if everything goes according to plan, where our spicy takes on Friday said Mike Bobo, the best offensive coordinator in UGA history, and Carson Beck, the best quarterback in UGA history statistically.
Best season.
Yeah. That's
but I think Carson Beck goes on, and these 2 quarterbacks come in. That means you need to be that guy who's already next in line, because you need all that experience, all those game reps, all those practice reps with the 2s that you're going to get this year, because Kirby values nothing more than experience and the way that you take care of the football, the knowledge that you have of the system. Now you got these 2 elite quarterbacks coming in. The thing that either Gunnar Stockton or Brock Vandegrift is going to have on these 2 quarterbacks is experience and knowledge in the system.
Reps.
You need to be that guy, and so it will be very interesting, Dog fans. In the 4th quarter against UT Martin, you're going to get to see who's ahead. Just don't turn the game off early. You're going to want to pay attention to the end. I predict we will see all 3 quarterbacks in that game, first of all.
100% we will.
But the one that comes in second might give you an indication of what the coaching staff is thinking at that moment. It should be interesting.
It'll be very, very interesting. We're going to talk about why this actually Carson Beck being named is news, not just for who is second and third on the depth chart as other highly touted quarterbacks come in, but why it is news this season. But first, these. And these are
Who's
LinkedIn
the show
jobs.
brought to you by today?
It's brought to you
Clint?
by LinkedIn Jobs. Daniel, I don't know if
going
you
well.
know that.
It's going well so far.
Everything gelling together because
Everything coming
LinkedIn
together.
makes all the teamwork, the dream work because of the teamwork. Daniel, that's what's happening right now. And LinkedIn is the place that you're going to go to get people
Speaking
onto
of making
your team.
the teamwork,
Let's get people onto the team that we need very badly.
Pros Pro.
LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege gets you access to millions upon millions upon millions of network associated people that have the right candidate for you to get on their team and your team, whatever that is. Interview tools to get past the fluff, filtering people out so that you're only talking to the people that actually bring credible talent, experience, all the things that Carson Beck brings to this offense can come to your team in the form of a new hire. And that's LinkedIn Jobs, LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege. Post your job for free right now. You get a little window around letting everybody know that you are hiring, access to millions upon millions of people that have the right candidate for you without having to go through the painful agony of doing silly interview questions and having to go yourself. Trust LinkedIn, LinkedIn.com/LockedOnCollege. Post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
It's news, Clint.
It's not news because we knew it, but it is news because, Daniel, this was very shocking for one person in the program. It wasn't shocking to Carson Beck. It wasn't shocking to the other quarterbacks. They let them know before we were told. It was shocking for you and I and other Dog fans because this isn't Kirby.
This isn't the thing that Kirby does. So
we've been on here saying you won't know who the quarterback starting is until the first snap of the season. And lo and behold, we're wrong.
It does mean something. And I think I want to talk about maybe long-term Kirby Smart implications for the 199 in segment 3. But in segment 2, I think you have to draw some conclusions about, you have to make a link between Kirby's willingness to name Carson Beck the starting quarterback, which he was always going to be the starting quarterback, but his willingness to name Carson Beck the starting quarterback has to be linked in some way to Carson Beck's performance in practices and scrimmages to this point, does it not? Kirby has to have seen something that he really, really likes out of Carson Beck to this point in the practice schedule.
Okay, so let's go through the starting quarterback in Kirby's time. We've rolled out games. He's been coy. He's been, hey, we're just getting reps. We're testing people out. We're trying to get a hold of the playbook, yada, 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 yada. I'm going to take you back to last year. Stetson Bennett showing out, college football playoff, only player to have player of the game honors in all the games that he played in the college football playoff, back-to-back national champion. And what does Kirby do, Daniel? He calls a timeout to curtain call Stetson Bennett, pull him from the game, and get him a standing ovation from players and stadium and all of us standing in our living rooms applauding it. Okay. That was new, Daniel.
It was new.
That was new
for Kirby.
This is in a similar vein, Daniel. This isn't motivational Kirby speech. He's done that before. He did that to Stetson Bennett 2 years ago, where he comes criticizing him after camp, telling him what he can improve on. No accolades, no attaboys, but you're trash, get better. And he did. This seems to me to be a tip of a cap to Carson Beck and the hard work, the dedication, and what he brings to the team, Daniel. Is it not?
It has to be. And the question then becomes, what has Kirby seen that he likes so much out of Carson Beck in practice? And the answer, of course, is we don't know. We'll probably never know. But what would the show be if I didn't wildly speculate at this point?
Pontificate, if you could.
What's the number one thing that Kirby Smart wants his quarterbacks to do? And by do, I mean not do, under any circumstances.
Give the ball away.
Don't let the other team get the ball from us. He said it explicitly probably dozens of times.
Yes.
It is the thing that he looks for in quarterbacks. What is, if there's maybe to be a potential weakness in Carson Beck, what is said weakness, Clint?
Throwing and forcing balls into windows they shouldn't be forced into, Daniel.
If there's one thing that we're worried about Carson Beck, it's the possibility that maybe he comes in and he turns the ball over a bunch. Kirby Smart, that's his number one thing that he looks for.
That's it.
I think the thing that Kirby has seen from Carson Beck, the only thing that Carson Beck had to prove to Kirby Smart knows that Carson Beck knows the playbook. Kirby Smart knows that Carson Beck has the experience. Kirby Smart knows that Carson Beck has more arm talent than anyone else on this roster. The thing that Carson Beck had to prove to Kirby Smart was that he knew how to take care of the football. And it seems as though Carson Beck has done that.
Yep.
And now that's all Kirby needed to see. Let me just tell you, Dog fans, if that's the case, if this gunslinger who just can get out here and rip the football down the field, I'm talking about rip it down the field. If he has instilled the confidence of Kirby Smart that he's not going to turn the ball over, Georgia fans, you should be very excited about the future of this Georgia offense and the future of Carson Beck, because that is a great recipe for Georgia moving forward.
It really is. And I think it is a tip of cap to what he has done. I think it's his work ethic. I think the fact that he didn't transfer out, I think the fact that he didn't go look for greener pastures. I think talks about the kid's character and talks about the kid's tenacity and what he wants. And again, Kirby loves these kids that just grind out hard work. Again, it's Stetson Bennett mentality meets Matthew Stafford talent. I'm not saying either of those guys aren't talented, but the level is different. And Stetson Bennett had the tenacity to put in the hard work to get where he is now and show out his talent. And Matthew Stafford had the talent, then grinded. Seems like Carson Beck has both of those already, which Kirby is tipping his cap to. We're going to come back after this, and we're going to talk about what does this mean going forward, Daniel? Does this have bigger implications?
If it doesn't, could we make some up?
And if we know anything, the
tinfoil hats are out. We are ready.
Do you remember, Daniel? Let's talk about the 199. We'll know this very well. This is tinfoil hat segment 199. If you're not part of the 199, congratulations, you are now. I christened the 199.
Loyal third segment listener, you are.
You're here.
Go get that loyal third segment listener shirt, by the way, on bonfire.com/store/the199.
Go get it. That's where you need to find it. Okay. Do you remember when Jimmy C's offense was so inept,
holding something back?
And I was dead set. I couldn't come to terms that we had the worst offensive coordinator in the history of college football.
Wouldn't accept it. Acceptance is the first step, and he wouldn't do it.
Denial is where I was at, which is, I think, part of a step. Anyway, I was denial. And so I said, Jimmy C's holding back the playbook.
Tinfoil hat was born. And here we are.
Let's don the tinfoil hat one more.
Let's do this. You said it. Kirby Smart doesn't do this.
He doesn't do this.
He doesn't come out and announce the starting quarterback. He doesn't do it. But you alluded to the national championship game. I hadn't thought about that. I think that's a very valid point. Kirby Smart out here doing curtain calls for his defenders and for Stetson Bennett and for...
Did he learn that from any Alabama tradition?
Well, they light up the state. They have the lights on their stadium.
We copied that.
And so when it's dark outside, they turn the lights on.
Okay.
Kirby, I think, is evolving as a head coach
before our eyes.
I really do think it. We can joke, and of course, there's a lot of jokes about early in Kirby Smart's career, mismanaged quarterbacks, Justin Fields, Jake Fromm, all of these, all of these situations. It's fine. It's whatever. We can talk about it. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
All the jokes about Kirby Smart, and to be fair, I think there's some validity to some of those accusations, some of those things. And I think for a lot of college football head coaches, they don't evolve. They don't grow out of those tendencies. I present to you Jimbo Fisher, ladies and gentlemen, who has had one of the more talented teams in college football for nigh on 8 years now.
Yeah.
And he refuses to do anything with it because he is so committed to his Stone Age offense. By the way, how excited are you to watch Bobby Petrino and Jimbo Fisher get into an actual fist fight on the sidelines? Actual fist fight.
You all thought Dan Mullen was pissed off about calling a timeout because his team wasn't ready with the right play call sheets in their wrists. You ain't seen nothing till you've seen two men who have not touched a weight room rack in over a decade.
The drama at Texas A&M, just between those two men, I'm here for all of it. I cannot
all
wait.
of it. I just want him after he gets slapped across the face.
The camera's going to cut to them screaming at each other, and then Bobby Petrino's going to show up to the presser in a neck brace. Because he got into an altercation with Jimbo Fisher. All right. Kirby Smart is growing before our eyes. And if you're a fan of another institution, that should scare the ever-loving crap out of you. Because he's already the best coach currently in college football. Not the greatest of all time, but he's the best current coach in college football.
What do the best do at things, Daniel? When they're the best at things, what do they do?
Well, they either plateau and begin declining.
Okay.
I could name a specific example of it, but I feel as though I've offended Alabama fans enough already, and so I won't. Or they continue growing.
There it is.
They pursue getting better. They're never satisfied. And guys, that is Kirby Smart. He's humble enough to admit, not to you and I, because he doesn't owe us anything, certainly not to the AJC, because he doesn't owe them anything, but he's humble enough to admit to himself when he needs to grow, and he's done that. He hired Todd Monken. Yeah. That was a big moment of growth for Kirby Smart. He's learned with this quarterback situation. That's a big moment of growth for Kirby Smart. He's sharing more, divulging more with the media. It's like Kirby's figuring out, I want to run my program this way.
Yes.
These are the things I need to do, and these are the things I don't really need to do. These are the things I need to focus on. That's where his mindset is always on getting better. And this may seem like it's a nonsense, who cares, it doesn't really matter issue. But if you're a fan of Georgia, it's a big deal. This is what you need in a head coach.
Yes, this deviates from the norm. And while everybody else says, hey, here's our system, here's what we're coming into, and here's what we need to keep going, Kirby says, no, I'm going to take what I learned elsewhere, apply precepts and tactics and techniques to an ever-evolving, changing world. And that's what he's done. Look at the recruiting cycle. Look what he's done there. Before he counted on flips. Okay, just go look at that. Go look at the recruiting class changes. They've always had results. Mm-hmm. The end result is Kirby's the king of recruiting. How he's gotten there. Before, it was flips. It was take photos of other boards on your way out, which whatever, like do things that are good for your program, and then go get a kid. Now it's, no, I want to lock all 24 up before flip season comes. That's different than what I want to do. That's a change. Quarterback situation, offensive coordinator, responsibility of defensive coordinator, and how you work that. Bringing the team mentality change and shifts under Kirby Smart, and it's quite incredible. And it should terrify all of you, because I think he's no longer grouchy, Kirby. I think he's still going to be grouchy forever, but I think he actually is starting to get a little fun in there, and that should
the intensity's still there.
It's not leaving.
It's like he now knows where he has to press in and be so intense, and where he doesn't. And you said it, the way that he's adapted already think about the way college football has changed since he's been in Athens.
Yes.
The NIL stuff, the recruiting landscape, the conference realignment, all of this stuff happening.
Did he moan and complain about all that, Daniel?
No, he went out and built a dynasty that is currently in its infancy and shows no signs of going anywhere.
So while everybody else was talking about how hard it is to build a winner in this system, Kirby has just gone ahead and built a winner in this system.
Correct.
Okay.
A winner that's just going to keep winning. Now, Georgia might not win the national championship this year, but Georgia's not going anywhere in terms of the dynasty. It's alive and well. And Kirby Smart's just getting better and better as a coach, because he's figuring out what he needs to hold on to and what he can let go. And the more he lets go of, you find this in any career, in any field, in anything that you endeavor to do in life, the more you're able to let go of, the more you're freed up to be able to focus more time and more energy and more intensity on the things that really matter for you to do. And you just get better and better at those things. That's what Kirby Smart's doing.
That's exactly right. We're going to come back tomorrow, and we're going to talk about all manner of position group breakdown and strength of this team. It's going to be quite remarkable.
I can't wait to talk. Tomorrow we're talking about the defensive line in one of the segments. And I've been thinking for days about talking about the defense. I can't wait.
We're going to talk about how I think all the defensive line is the top 75 best players in college football right now. None
of them are named Bear.
And Come back for that all this week. Your team every single day. Thanks for being part of us. This is Locked On Bulldogs, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, and we will see you all then.